go. This is just, I don't know why it's like this. So,
That's okay.
good morning.
Good morning. Uh,
And let's.
we're here.
Welcome, Craig.
Greg.
Yay! Yay! Okay, so let me go down over here. And are you setting up your stream?
Oh, I already got it going and everything. So we are live.
Look at you. Alrighty. Well, good morning, Luna.
Good morning. Morning AQ80.
So today you're here with us, or at least Craig is here with us on another episode or adventure, as I like to think of them,
Yeah.
as Talking Esoteric podcast with us.
Uh, we are somehow here.
We are somehow here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, honey. How are you?
I'm doing good. I feel better than I think I did yesterday, so that's it's good for sure.
Nice.
I think yesterday was just a mostly complete shutdown. I spent most of the day watching videos, and that's about it.
Well, that doesn't sound like anything bad to me. Um, videos are good. They can be very informative, or if like we need to laugh, they can definitely, there's always humor to be found. And yeah. Did you watch any good videos or were you just like binging?
Oh, just binging garbage, which is fine. It's like video game related videos on YouTube, but I think that's, just like sometimes you need something that doesn't require actual brain activity, which I think was what I was aiming for. It's just something I don't have to think about or feel anything about.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, and I always think that that's good. What I'm I've got an echo. It's a reverb. It's really weird right now. So I'm hearing
Oh my.
myself speak and then it's like delayed.
Oh, that's the worst. I'm so sorry. If it's any consolation, I
Ah,
believe you sound perfect on the podcast, so I don't think it's a problem.
oh, thank you.
Oh,
You
Adfang is
are
Hello?
too
here.
kind.
I will be right back. I had to finish something for work, but I will be back. Give me like 2 minutes.
You are perfectly okay.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yesterday was just weird. Um, Thank you for posting the Twitch stream where it's no longer just showing Discord. It is in fact the screen coverage of our logo. So it's getting there. It is slowly improving.
You know what? It's awesome. And I see like now you have 32 followers. So,
I know where
yay,
those extra two
congratulations.
came from. Thank you. I I am always both pleased and baffled by anyone who chooses to follow me. I'm just completely honored, and I'm also like, why? What has made you choose this? But I'm grateful, so I guess that's fine.
That's funny. Um, yeah, and then hopefully I'll figure out how to combine maybe next week, probably the week after. Uh our YouTube live while you're doing your Twitch stream live while we're doing our podcast.
Yes. Then we will have all the places, and that will be the best.
Yeah. It'll sure help with editing.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like it'll save us um the pain of having to upload individually to two YouTube channels, because that getting one to upload can take forever for some reason sometimes. YouTube is a weird
Yeah, it's kind of
beast.
crazy. Thank you for uh not not allaying my fears, but actually hyper focusing them.
Oh yeah, no, it's an interesting mess, and I don't know why it's the way it is, but it works, I guess. Um, what were we planning to talk about today?
So I know we had kind of gone back and forth. We did have a topic scheduled for last week, and then holiday fervor and life, home and everything happens. So this week, I suggested to Adfang that we cover the. It's, I'm still hearing like everything is like echoed and repeated. I don't know what's going on. If you can't hear me speaking,
See, that's the thing, is I can hear you speaking perfectly. Um, which means our listeners can also hear you speaking perfectly. So I don't know
okay,
what's
because it's like
happening.
there's a delay.
Hmm.
Anyways, please pay no attention to the ADHD woman in the corner, uh, talking to the other potentially ADHD woman
Oh,
in the corner.
100% yes, correct. Um, but don't worry, I have a feeling that the second Adfang comes back, uh, when you mention that your voice is doing that, he is going to have a slew of troubleshooting things in order to fix it
Of
somehow.
course. So the topic going with everything kind of that's happened in the server recently, and then with a lot of new members joining, um, I pitched the topic of discussing psychic attacks,
Hmm.
how they can be intentional and unintentional, as in someone may be doing it and not being aware necessarily that they're doing it, and how that kind of links into cultural understandings of like the evil eye and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, and I think that is a really good topic, especially for going into 2026. Because at least I don't know how everyone else feels, but like my personal feeling is that I want to go into 2026 ready to just grab it and be like, we're doing this. Nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure of it. So yes, I feel like this is the perfect topic to lean into the new year with.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. It's like the 2025 was, let's just face it, completely neurotic.
Yes, it was a complete dumpster fire, and I do not think that anyone will severely miss 2025.
No, I mean, and the funny thing is like there were glimmers, such glimmers of hope and positivity, and then it was like, and then it was like out of nowhere, it was like it was the big energy shifts and swings that I think were like, So we're taking like 2020 and all of the chaos and the chaos of the last from like 17, 18, 19 and rolling it all together, putting it in a blender and seeing what you're gonna experience.
I fully agree. Like, I do feel like it was there was definitely a little bit of 2020 in there, but like I feel like also there were splatters of like the years leading up to 2020. So like not like the absolute confusion of the pandemic, which I feel was its own separate thing, but like I feel like this year definitely hit on like the mounting dread of like consistently knowing things are not okay and then just having to deal with it. Um, and I do mentally feel like we've been in 2025 for several years at this point. Like this has been the longest year of my like middle adult age life period. Um,
Right.
if
Like this week has been the longest year ever.
oh my god, yes. Um, I especially this week is like, and it's sad because this might in fact be the most uneventful week of the year. Like nothing's happening, nothing bad is occurring, but it's just like the rest of this year has been so exhausting that I don't know what to do with myself and I just want January to happen. That's where my brain is at. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it.
but yeah, we can talk about like spiritual attacks, psychic attacks, and I think a big thing is like uh, there is of course intentional attacking, but there's also very much unintentional like attacking or latching onto someone that can occur um, emotionally or mentally. Uh, and those have, in their own ways, at least in my personal gnosis, spiritual repercussions that need to be taken into account for.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. So why don't you, Luna, cuz I'm always I'm always curious to hear other people's perspectives and experiences and how they formulate an idea. So, would you
How are you
mind
now?
kicking it off for us?
Yeah, of course. Um,
Welcome welcome back, at Fang.
Thank you.
welcome. Uh, I think that it is kind of part of sort of the it's a weird way to put it, and it's not just I think people who are spiritually inclined or spiritually aware, but I do think that there is a level of like responsibility that we have because any time that you and to be clear, we're not really talking about just like say there's someone that you don't like or someone that you have particular feelings about and you're just like Susan, just using default Susan name as an example, um like basically saying, oh, I hate this person and they're terrible at work or whatever. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. What we're talking about really is like that person who lives rent free in your head and like you latch onto them um creates a sort of, whether you think about it that way or not, sort of like an emotional bond. I think is that like the more that you kind of hold on to and you latch on to negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative feelings, daydreams about them, dreams about them, these all create tethers that then can link you to another person. And one of the things that I think we kind of talked about a little bit when we were talking about shielding, or I think it was auras, on a previous episode, uh, energy tends to come off of people. And if you are, consistently dealing with, these negative thoughts or feelings about someone, you are essentially putting those feelings and those energies kind of out into their space in particular. I'm not a big believer in the idea of you just shoot things off randomly into the universe and nothing happens to them. I am, however, a big believer in the idea of intention, and if you think hard enough on something, your energy is going to shoot towards it, because I don't know how to put that. That's how magnets work. So, um, but yeah, I think that it is important to find like a balance between, you know, you can't make yourself not think about things or feel things. That's not how humans work, but we can, you know, take steps and we can be conscientious of, oh, I do not like this person or I have particular feelings about them. I do not necessarily, though, legitimately want harm to come their way, or I don't want, you know, bad energy or whatever else to sort of go in their direction. Um, but that's a bit of my thought process. I can go more into it, but I'm curious what you or Adfang might have to say about it.
No, I think that's a really great way to explain it. And as you do so, that helps me visualize like how you may practice and your practice may form around your understanding, which is really cool. Um, welcome, Indila. For me, I definitely say agree with you that intention or intent is really a big part of it, especially the more like I love how you framed, that kind of obsessing thinking, creating those energetic ties, tendrils, um, and allowing that to kind of live rent free, right? So it's for lack of a better word, almost manifesting or creating. It's taking energy and combining it. It's kind of like that law of three, that triangle, so it's like you've got one thing, you add something else to it, and it creates something completely new. um I came across a saying um earlier in the year that that it was in a book written by a practicing shaman that really has stayed with me and really resonated with me, and it's energy flows where intention goes. And I was like, I love it because it's a very simplistic but deeply resonating explanation of energy work in general, right? And how we create, how we manifest, because what are our thoughts? Our thoughts are energies, right? And so that energy then can take on the tone, flavor, direction of our thoughts and emotions. And so to me, it's very much in in metaphysical, esoteric, occult, spiritual, magic, medium, psychic, empathic, you name it, spaces. I think we see a little bit more, or we're able to recognize so-called air quotes here, psychic attacks a little more consistently, because we have people that are a little more fine-tuned, right? Or in tune with energy energy work in general. And so, but there's a lot of uh untrained or undisciplined, perhaps might be a better way to say it without being offensive, because I'm not gatekeeping, and I'm not um trying to say this or that or the other, right? There's no shame, there's no harm,
The
because
newly beginning.
the new right, well, we don't know what we don't know,
Yeah.
right? And until we start to explore, we don't really understand. So there things happen. Um, we experience things in a lot of different ways, and there is no magical formula that is non-restrictive to tell you how you should practice, because it's not my job, it's not Adfang's job. And Luna, I'm going to put words in your mouth. It's not your job either to tell someone how they should practice, right? But what we do, or what we can do, is offer a space that they can discover for themselves how things flow and their understanding based on shared experience, similar experiences, and practices that may make more sense to one as opposed to the other, without having all of the you know the rest of the trappings that go along with it, that tend to lead to control, right? Or narrative formulated practice. And so I think that when we have high emotional states, we're irritated, agitated, angry, hurt, we have a tendency to kind of focus and latch on to a person, an idea, because there's so much conflict and so much polarity that we feel there's like a need to find someone or something to blame.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, in my understanding, that's where we see a lot of unintentional psychic attacks, because you're just like, oh, that person just ruined my day. They did this. There's like, they intentionally did such and such to me. And so it's like, and then it just, like you said, it moves rent free into your mind, and you just ruminate and focus on it. And then it's like, it almost becomes like a mantra, a chant, and it's like we're just continuing that loop. And so it's like you're just like you're a witch at the cauldron, just stirring the damn pot. Stir,
Mm-hmm.
stir, stir. And with each stir, we're creating more agitation, because instead of breaking that cycle and going, whoa, hold on, we're just focused on the rumination. And then the emotion catches back up, and then that happens. And then there are, you know, instances where we know what we're doing, and we direct it at a person, place, or thing, um, because we feel like we have been victimized or we have been hurt, and so we're not just lashing out because we're hung up in that rent-free space, but we are focused because we have a, for lack of a better term, air quotes here, target, right? So then that happens. Or we know there are practitioners or people that work on the gray scale, that can have been taught or are in practices, that there are developed methods for hexing, cursing, crossing, which then would move it over into an intentional paid focus. Not necessarily always paid. I'm just saying that because we do see that. I mean, it would be ignorant of me to gloss over it. And so to me, that's kind of like the three main directions we see psychic attacks. Did I go on too long? Did I?
No, you are good. I fully agree. Like, and I think it's not even, and I think what um people don't think about, and it's something that I think has related to a recent event that occurred, um, that was an unfortunate but I guess necessary lesson, is that it's not just ill intent, anger, all those things. It can be different kinds of emotions. Like as far as tying yourself to someone else can even be like pining or missing someone or an emotional state where in any way you might be pulling towards something even if you don't think that you are. Um, and it it is weird because like you said, yeah, we do have folks who do things to actively you know cause harm or retaliate against someone, hexing and cursing and different kinds of magic craft, which I think is something that is almost similar but its own thing in a way. Um, Kind of in my mind, hexing someone is the equivalent of going out of your way to set up something for whatever reason to actively interact with someone in a way to cause them inconvenience. So like it is a planned action. Um, a lot of times, though, like especially early on, this type of attacks that you can run into uh, can can essentially be almost like, say you have a jilted lover who you are angry with, but you still pine for. So you constantly think about them and you constantly feel a certain way about them. You don't necessarily want to harm them per se, but it's just like this constant barrage that alters kind of like your own actions and your own mindset. All of that stuff kind of culminating to eventually just sort of press your energy towards them in a way that you don't intend. Um, and I think that's something that a lot of people sort of do, and then when they realize they've done it or realize it is something that's happening, typically I see one of two reactions. The first one is outright denial, which is kind of going back to the idea and principle of um, a lot of people do latch onto specific systems or specific philosophies about energy and about magic, which is fine until you see a result of something and then you go, well, that can't possibly have happened, because it doesn't fit within the system that I've told myself is how the universe works. Um, and the alternative secondary thing that I've seen people do is the alternative option, which is they become very sort of self grandiose in the idea of, oh, I have all this power that I was just upset about someone, and then my energy caused bad things to happen to them. And that usually leads on down the path of becoming frankly insufferable because then you just turn into someone who goes around being like, I didn't like what you said. I could curse you with a thought and ruin the rest of your life. And then you're like, oh, I'm done talking to you. um, because that's not how people interact. That's not someone anyone wants to. No one hears that threaten and goes, "Oh my gosh, you're so cool. Um, I want to be your friend forever now." But people do that. That's a big part of the occult community is folks who learn that you can emotionally attack other people and then just lean into it so hard. And it's like, why? Why is this the coolest thing to you? Um, Out of all the things you could do with the profound abilities the universe provides to you, being an absolute nuisance should not be like top tier on your list. Um,
Agreed. Agreed. And yes, we see it way more often than not, sadly. I'm
but
sorry, I didn't mean to
oh
interrupt.
no, you are good. But I won't press on it. Partly because we had discussed it yesterday, and I do not wish to overtly front load you. If we do decide to do some kind of check in on stuff that happened yesterday. Um,
Okay.
but what I did learn is that you can also convince yourself, like denial is a river that runs through Egypt. Is a very ironic statement in this case. Um, you can very easily convince yourself of your own emotional non-attachment to something that you are clearly highly attached to. Um, it is very easy to say, "Oh, I moved on from this person. This isn't an issue," because it's not in front of you. You're not directly thinking about it consciously in the moment. And you can do that. You can consciously not think about someone or something, and it can still just eat at you subconsciously. Um, if you don't actually do the work to process your own emotions and move on from a thing. Uh, you learn the hard way later on that not doing the work to move on can lead to situations where you will move on just in a very hard way after realizing that you caused yourself and potentially someone else more harm than good.
Yeah,
Um,
you'll move on not on your terms.
yeah, you'll move on not on your terms, precisely. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say on that. Again, uh, just to not front load for later. But please,
Yeah, thank you.
please go ahead, go on. And we also have questions, it seems.
Yeah, we do. I was gonna wait to see if Adfang had anything he wanted to add, or should we go right to Indila's awesome questions?
Well, I got here late, so the topic is just about like psychic attacks in general.
Yeah, Luna and I each shared our perspectives on how we define or how we perceive and understand psychic attacks and what they look like in our kind of narrative or our understanding, our paradigms.
Also, just because you weren't here earlier, uh, Lady is dealing with some technical difficulties, and I called you out as being the IT professional you are, that you most likely will have some kind of solution. So the stakes are pretty
Fun
high.
fact. Yes, thank you. Fun fact, Miss Luna. I did figure it out on my own.
Oh, yay. Perfect.
I actually had your stream pulled up and the
I
audio
was going to say
was
that's
on.
That
probably what your issue
that will
was.
totally do it. Yes,
That was,
precisely.
yeah. It,
Yeah.
it 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 has taken me like 10 minutes to figure out why I'm hearing echoes of everyone speaking before, and it's like, why am I hearing my own voice, 30 seconds later? Oh, it's because I'm listening to the stream too.
I mean, I totally appreciate it, and 100% kudos for you having both up at the same time. You're literally here. Why are you watching my stream?
Well, you can look at the stream chat too. Plus you get view
Yeah.
time. I mean, there's many beneficial reasons why.
This is true.
Well, it's
This is
supporting our compadres.
it is really
It's
deeply
So
important.
appreciated.
So psychic attacks can be vary vastly between how they are done, why they are done, what, so on. A lot of what I've heard you guys discuss is a lot of kind of meaningful, but maybe not meaningful ways to do to do things, and the way that we react to these attacks can vary vastly between people. Some people are more sensitive than others to just a going off of just a very basic attack, like some bad intent sent your way. Um, and some people are a little more hardier, or they're not, pushed easier in that way. And that's not to say that it's bad if you are, it's just kind of the way people are. And that's why we have shielding and such. But um, I think you guys mentioned it's kind of important whenever maybe you're in a bad mood, or maybe are thinking someone's really ticking us off, that we need to be aware that those thoughts can transfer, because it's in its intent in a way, those negative thoughts that we have, and it just takes a thought for us to take that intent and put some energy behind it, and then it could ruin someone's day. So that's something that we have to be aware of as practitioners. Um, and protecting from that is there are many different ways to protect from many different types of attacks. Um, and I think we discussed this before, kind of like as a topic. We may even want to think about discussing how someone might go about attacking someone, for a theoretical purpose of discussing how we would protect against those.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's something one of us should probably jot down for later, because going into the new year, I think that we need to kind of help everybody, you know, come back to basics and look at different ways to approach, because I know a lot of people look at shielding and um that in there are some people who view it kind of negative, or why do I need that because I'm working from a space of love, but it's like unintentional, intentional. It never hurts to have some kind of personal protection, because it helps us feel more in control, and that's just my 2 cents on it, but I think that's a great suggestion, Hadfang. Thank you.
Great, thank you for jotting that down for us.
Oh shit, okay. Lucky I have my I feel I feel like I'm on Blue's Clues. I got my handy dandy notebook.
Someone's got to write stuff down.
Okay. Um Indila has some really great questions that I think that we should address. The first one that she asks, and I'll direct it to both of you. Can psychic attack down an emotional state? I already have an answer, but I mean, that means, can it affect your emotional state, change your frequency? Is that kind of the that's how I'm interpreting Indila's question.
Yeah, that's how I'm interpreting it, and
Yeah.
100% I think it can, even if the attack doesn't. Let's say you're well protected, and um, it may not achieve its intended goal, but everything has an action and a reaction. So even if the attack doesn't get through your shielding, it can still have some type of effect on you. No, there's a way to get through any shield, so no one is invulnerable, but just the fact that there is an attack can definitely cause a change in your emotional state.
Yeah, I would completely agree, and I do think that a lot of times your emotional reaction to being attacked is uh, more result instead of what they intended. And I just say that because of the folks that I've seen actively like hex or attack people, or even the few times that I've attacked someone, which I admit is something that I've done before, I don't go into it thinking, "Oh man, I really hope I make this person sad. That's my goal." No, no. Typically, I think the emotional effects that we have are somewhat resultant of some subconscious part of ourself that knows that something bad is being done to us, even if it doesn't come through all the way. Because, like, it would be the equivalent of you standing behind, like, a riot shield and someone's punching at you to, like, try and get at you. Even if they aren't succeeding, you're gonna have an emotional reaction of, oh god, this person's punching at me. I, I, I should probably be upset about this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with you. I do. I feel like the how it affects your emotional state is reflective of your energetic state. That's kind of how I correlate them. And so it's kind of your
Excuse me.
body's way to start to process and understand, hey, something isn't right. It's like if you're in a great mood, this is not always, but this has to do with being an empath as well, where we're so sensitive to subtle shifts in energetic changes. So, like, you're having a great day, you're fine, and then you come across that one person that's always kind of like, you don't really like to be around them, but you kind of have to be around them. And then the energy changes and your emotional state changes because, like, you were super energized and, having the best day ever. And then it's like, the proverbial wet blanket, we'll say. And so I think that that's generally either a sign, yes, that your body is trying to tell you there's something a little more going on. It's kind of like, hey, maybe you should be aware. But then we also understand that we are exposed to different people, different beings, different energies as we move throughout our day. And so, being more aware of our emotional state where we start, um, like Adfeng said, and Luna, having protections in place, but being able to kind of filter and to really start to understand where your center is, where your baseline is, and then being able to stop and kind of do a quick assess as to where and what direction they may be coming from. I just say this because this is how I practice. It's like, oh, I start with the mundane. Am I feeling all right? Is how's my health? Is, this, that, the other. We do those checks. And then it's like, you know, uh, then it's the emotional aspect. Have I come across someone who's experiencing trauma, grief, this and that? Can that be an influence? And then you kind of just go down the checklist, right? It's being a little more self-aware or a little more in tune with things. So that's kind of how I work to filter things out. Ed Fang, anything?
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Um, no, because I got sidetracked.
Okay. So then, Indila also said, number two, my personal experience is that when I try to do a reading for someone who has a spirit attachment, it affects her badly and also her spiritual work, like a hamper for a bit. How can I avoid this? Are there any protection techniques? advance for Luna and Adfang?
So,
Um,
oh, you can
go
go.
ahead.
Okay.
No, you go ahead.
I think you
That's
should
awesome.
definitely kind of be looking at that. And the reason I say that is because uh, I also do readings sometimes. I even sometimes channel entities. Uh, Typically, at least in my experience, those things can have an effect on you in the sense of, anytime you interact with another entity, it does expend energy. So that's kind of like thing one. But I guess thing two really would be like, how do you feel that is affecting you? Whether it's emotional or any other kind of way. And also a big factor I think is making sure to remember that you even if you interact with an alternative entity or someone who has an entity attached to them or some kind of energy, you can very much separate yourself. So I think that that is kind of a big part of it too, is uh, making sure that that door is closed. You are not allowing something that you maybe encounter and is meant to only be like a temporary encounter to become an attachment of some kind. Um, that can be anything from shielding, that can be from just setting that intention when you go into readings, just being like, I am reading this, I am not going to have this sort of connect to me in any sort of way. Um, and it could be just using, really any kind of barrier, realistically. Um, I find that especially if it's not something that you actively seek out. So if it's not an entity that you have actively gone about the trouble of like trying to research and find, um, the its ability to attach to you becomes entirely dependent on you just being aware that you do not want to be attached to it. Um, but even I do know from experience that sometimes you need to really set that. You need to set that energy and intention to sort of make sure there is that boundary, um, because some entities are sticky.
Awesome.
Some
That's
some entities
really
and
excellent.
some entities and people are sticky.
That's true. Do not get involved with sticky people.
Um, yeah, so anytime that I do a reading or a scan for someone, I like to make sure that I have proper boundaries set up in place. So if that means that I need to make a shield, or I kind of like to suss out kind of what is needed from like what I need to do, and then I set up proper shielding, and there are some times where whatever I'm scanning or whoever or whatever reading I'm doing, there is some bleed through, of course, and um, I like to do a cleansing afterwards. Um, it could be something as simple as intention for cleansing and grounding. A good cleansing ritual that I enjoy is taking a shower, literally, and cleansing yourself of any negative attachments or any attachments that are unwanted, and letting that wash away. That's something that I find really helpful. But I think if you are doing readings, you are going to come across those sticky entities or energies or people, and cleansing is putting up proper defenses initially is helpful, but also cleansing afterwards I think will be very helpful.
Yeah, uh, great advice from both of you. I will say, and this is going to be long, so I apologize in advance. One, If you are getting ready to do a reading for someone and you sense or feel that they have an attachment and it's not going to go the right way, or you may be affected by it, I want you to understand that you are fully capable to assert your agency, and you do not have to provide that reading for someone if it does not feel right, comfortable, or anything else, simply because you feel like you have to honor a commitment, especially when
Preach.
we're dealing.
That is so true.
Absolutely.
Especially when we're dealing with nature of energy, beings, entities, personalities, emotions, where we're already sensitive to all of the above. It is really important to say, you know what? I appreciate you. I thank that you were willing to do this, but this is not going to work for me. And that's when you start to take control. That's where you are in the driver's seat and you no longer need to acquiesce to someone else simply because you have committed or because you feel like they need it or they want to push you. That is not okay. That is bullying at the very basic. And it is really important to remember that you have authority over yourself. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start that. Like Adfang and Luna both said, boundaries really important when you do any type of reading. And whatever that ritual, whatever that process may look like for you, like there's a lot of times that's where we see a circle. We create that boundary line. For me personally, the intention is set, that this experience is positive, and by positive, I generally refer to highest good, so that we're not dealing with something that is going to latch on and attack and affect us, right? So we're establishing another layer of boundary system. And there are a lot of people who use crystals, or they use amulets, or they use different items to help seal and hold that space. The other thing is consent. It has to be mutual, right? And when you gain the consent, again, whatever phrase best suits what you're seeking, is that we are setting a limitation as to what can cross, because we have an intent there. It also helps to shield yourself. That is, whether you use a bubble shield, you use mirrors, you have your own shielding to protect that core, because we never know what's on the other side and what's going to reflect until we engage with it. Okay, and then finally, like Adfeng said, cleansing, but making sure that we close that connection just as we open it, and we set an intention every time, in my opinion, that I do. And this is how I like to suggest and teach those who are interested, that the behavior then automatically, when we're done with the reading, we actually set the intent to close, which then seals off any spiritual connection that we've shared, which is basically closing a door. Okay, so we're trying to limit and mitigate any type of bleed through, which we tend to see when we're practicing and we don't have all of these structures, these foundations set and held in place, you see. And then after that, like Adfeng said, a shower is great. I always have several types of salt scrubs in my shower that I use, especially if it feels like, it's we've used the term sticky, which is really good because there are a lot of things that have residue that kind of hang on to us. Another method that I use, uh, especially when like there's been a huge energetic shift or we're not quite sure we really want we don't have time to go take a shower, go stand outside, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and do a couple of rounds of deep box breathing, and then focus on your crown, open your crown, and call in cleansing white light. And as we do that, or source light, as we do that and we push it through, you'll start to feel it. It's kind of like an energetic shower. And it just pushes and clears everything out. Those are techniques that I use. Those are my methods. Hopefully that helps. Um, did I prattle on too long?
No,
No, you did great.
I think that was great. Bathing, like doing various shower things, salt definitely helps a lot with cleansing. Even just washing your hands, like
Washing your hands. Yeah, I got my jar of dirt.
yeah, even just washing your hands, just uh, you know, is kind of like i- the physical activity that sets the intention of I'm cleansing myself of a thing, which I think
Yep.
is important. Um, yeah, no, I think that was really good.
Then, thirdly, she says, Indila, I don't want to stop helping people. Um, should she completely stop helping them, or she feels like, is that something that she should think about? What do either of you have to respond to her about that?
Oh, many things. But the main thing, the big important thing is no, you don't have to stop doing anything. And that is your self-doubt talking. Uh, you've hit a bump in the road. Um, you figure it out and you keep going. Um, I always hear like stories of folks, running into some kind of challenge, or something and just going, that they should stop. They should just stop doing any sort of metaphysical stuff, readings for people, working outside of being like completely solitary. The while I do think that like it is a personal thing that you should always like assess within yourself, I am also of the mind that the world, and this is soaking with nihilism, but I promise you there's a point. The world is full of horrible disappointments and unpleasantness, unpleasant people, unpleasant situations, uh, and the metaphysical, magical, spiritual realm is not bereft of that. It is not just because you are working with like a deck of tarot cards does not mean you are not going to have a shitty ass time sometimes. Um, the the worst thing that you can do in any situation is just throw up your hands and be like, nope, not doing this anymore. Just because you know it, it it's it is it is already hard enough, I think, um I think that the world of magic and the world of spirit intentionally filters out folks over time. Like, whether it's disinterest, whether it's them discovering it's just not for them, um, whether it's, just people who really shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Uh, at the end of the day, there's enough folks dropping off of this stuff that you should not be thinking about that just because you had a hard time. You will have a hard time. You will master your craft and do spiritual work and magic for 50 plus years and you will still have a hard time. Um like but free will, you know? Um you can stop, but I highly encourage not stopping. Um Especially if the reason you would stop is just because you ran into difficulties.
As Lucio in Overwatch says, can't stop, won't stop.
Me taking a moment to recognize that Adfang knows Overwatch and has never invited me to
Yes,
play with him.
I rarely play now. So,
Joking. You're okay.
anyways, anyone else who wants to play, let me know.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, anyone who wants to play Overwatch with Adfang, the sign-up sheet comes at the end of the podcast. As long as you're not Luna, you can sign up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was really well said, Luna. Like, I agree. Don't allow someone else and their, behaviors or attitude to um, force you or cause you to change um, your self exploration and discovery simply because they want to control it. There are themes, and I definitely have an issue with people trying to have power over or control other people, their narratives or their practices. So that's well, I'm gonna usad back down. But one, you know, stepping into spirituality is about putting yourself back in the driver's seat instead of allowing society, family, whatever else, whatever group that um, is around you to control your narrative, because you have every right. We carry divinity within, and the divine does not ask for permission from other external forces. It's through all through any and all mythology. There should be a little bit of lack of a better term, a rebel spirit. And so, why would you allow someone else to cause you to change something that makes you happy or makes you feel more yourself simply because they want to behave in a certain way? You know, again, fuck them and step into your own. But I'm gonna try not to be profane so much today. I
This is
feel
not a
very
family
strongly about it.
channel, so you can say how you really feel.
I don't think anybody is prepared for that, 'cause when I get a rolling. Uh,
It's
anyways,
true,
it's just
swearing
really
is okay.
it is. It's just really important to make sure that you are authentic and you are where you want to be, and you don't allow anyone else to influence, either mitigate, control change what you want to do, because that, frankly, to me is wrong and highly offensive. And I'll just leave it there. Ella
Be authentic.
says,
I think that's the main thing.
be authentic. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Be offensive.
Be offensive. Well, Fox, dick, and Fox. Okay. Ella Morningstar has a question for us.
Bring
She
it on.
said, I actually have a question that's been gnawing at me. I've had a connection to someone that's definitely from several past lives. It's definitely karmic as well. And the connection is still very persistent, even if we are no contact. I've tried doing something with the mirror to cut it out and it worked, but there's leftovers. I've tried cord cutting and it's still there. I just feel them missing them or thinking of me sometimes. Initially, I thought it was me, but it wasn't. How do I get rid of the leftover? And how do I know for sure it's not in my head? My instinct tells me it's not in my head, but I am wondering.
This is good. So
It is.
I
I was in
find
your exact situation. I would exclude the words past life, but I was in a very similar, if not exact, situation that you were. Um, and it took for me, and I'm sorry for speaking first, Linda, because you
Oh
spoke
no, go
first the
ahead.
last two times. Now it's my turn.
You are fine.
Um,
Do what you must.
I've spoken some about this before, but not in great detail. But I did a cord cutting a few months after the falling out happened, basically. And after that cord cutting, I felt okay, but I knew on the inside that there was still something there. And part of it was almost, I guess I would say, fear of fully letting go, because um, internally, whenever we do a cord cutting, we're cutting the cord literally. It's gone. That's the whole point of the cord cutting. And after it had been maybe 3 or 4 years of this, like, the thought coming up, it would be kind of pervasive. It may go away for a while, but then it would come back. And after, gosh, 3 or 4 years, I said, okay, well, maybe I didn't mean this cord cutting that I did originally. I think I did it out of a reaction and not out of a true meaning for it. I did it kind of like going through the motions, and that's why it didn't work well for me. I even think that the second cord cutting that I did after I had thought about these things did not do as well of a job completely severing the ties. What I realized was that because there was this inkling of, I guess, I don't want to say possible reunification of some sort, but I had to come to terms with the fact that I was in control of this connection with this person, and that if I didn't want them around, or if I didn't want this connection to be there, I would have to um, make sure of that myself and not do things so passively, I guess. So for a period of time, it took quite a bit of my focus and attention to work on not allowing this connection to be there. But as time progressed, it became more and more, I guess, it became more distant, and it became more innate to the point where eventually one day it was just like gone. It was just no longer there. And I had forgot about all the work that I was doing to do this, to deal with this. So I think if we do a cord cutting and we don't have that true intention behind it, or if there is doubtfulness in the cord cutting, or if we still have some lingering things that we feel like we need to get done and we're not addressing that, and we're just jumping straight to a cord cutting or jumping straight to something, I think we need to go through and process these emotions, and not just emotions. For me, it was more emotional, but process things that are happening before we do the final act of it not being there anymore. Hopefully that's important. It might not be, because I kind of talked more about my personal experience, but I'm also open to questions about it. So yeah, 5 cord cuttings. Yeah. Um, I mean, my suggestion would be, instead of going towards another cord cutting, would be try to, and this may be difficult because of the situation, but try to figure out why this is happening. And that may, and why I say that may be difficult, it may actually take um it may take you looking at that connection and not necessarily working with it, but doing something to figure out why it's happening. And that is the more difficult part, I think, especially, at least in my situation, because of how things went. But it could also be more difficult. It could be the most difficult thing for you as well. Um, and once we find those things, we can then start to piece together why our subconscious or whatever is continually rebuilding these connections, or whatever part is not letting go.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Thank you for sharing all of that, Ed Fang. Much appreciated.
And I
Yes,
will
thank
say,
you.
I also went to therapy for some things, and that helped immensely as well.
What's that
Yeah,
like?
Ella says, um, what is what like therapy? Therapy's great. Um, Ella said that, I think I've left the door open. In the end, it's my choice to close it completely. If I do, then I won't hear the noise. I think she meant noise coming from them. And yeah, um, that's honestly what it is. Um, it, we all have a fear of loss. And depending on what type of loss it is, or what type of relationship there was, or whatever, that feeling of loss can be very significant. And sometimes there's this comfort we get whenever we are like, okay, well, I will go through these motions, but I know that if there's this door open, I know that I can always reach them somehow. So I'm just going to leave this one door open, but I'm going to, tell myself, okay, well, the door's not open. I'm going to ignore that. But then you start getting that bleed through because that door is still open. So it it is a very conscious and subconscious decision you have to make and come to terms with when we fully close that door completely, because there's no coming back to that, because you can't reopen this door without speaking to this person, and then establishing other things, especially in my situation, closing the door, it would be impossible to reopen due to things. So um, it's it's just a lot about, I think it's a lot about loss too. So there's that.
Yeah. Again, thank you for sharing. That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes, and again, we always seem to find a way to circle it back to processing and understanding in the mundane, and not just assigning everything to the woo out there. Um, Sometimes it is my understanding that if it's not necessarily completed after a cord cutting, we've done things that if you feel like it is karmic and part of your soul group, I believe it's my belief system, it's my paradigm that we make agreements, whether with a soul contract or not, whatever, however you want to perceive it. Um, that we have tasks and things that we want to understand, and sometimes these more difficult, or again, to use the term sticky, uh, people, situations, we have a much more difficult time breaking free from them, because a big part of it is acknowledging the lesson and then assimilating the lesson into our lives. So, in a way, I always like to ask, have we really released ourselves from the lesson? Do we feel like there is a deeper understanding of what we were trying to achieve and learn from this particular person, this particular um, experience difficulty that keeps rehashing? And are we continuously being triggered um, in a way that is more reactive and less processive? I know that's not a word, but just bear with me. Um, and so there could be other factors. It could be unfinished. And so, are you like Adfang said, a lot of time there's worry about grief and loss. And so, are we ready to release and let go of that connection, knowing that it maybe is no longer serving the purpose, or it's not benefiting us in any way? And a lot of times that subconscious, like you said, processing consciously and subconsciously, are we allowing ourselves the ability to let go and say, I'm not reacting out of a place of anger, resentment, tit for tat. You've done this, and this is how I feel. That kind of negative emotional processing, instead of, this no longer is beneficial for me in any way. And so, with love, I'm ready to release it. And it's not of love for the other person, but it is for the love of self. So, are we saying, you know what, I understand and acknowledge this is not healthy, it's not good, it's not positive or beneficial for me in any way, because I'm no longer learning from this said experience, from this connection. And so I wholeheartedly am ready to basically release it and send it back to where it was. I undo the karmic ties and realize that I understand this lesson and I no longer want to experience it any longer. So again, sorry for my uh, long-winded monologuing. Luna, what do you have to add?
Jeez. It's a good question. So So my experience, and this is kind of backtracking, but I feel like we've been answering the same question for 57 years. My brain feels that way. I know that's not the case. Um, but like in my experience, cord cutting especially does not seem to. A cord cutting is a separation of the relationship you have with someone or something. Um, so thinking of it that way, it does help, I guess, cathartically with your emotions, but I feel like, at least in my opinion, it does not alleviate the emotions of a situation. Like, that person may still have feelings for you, or you might still have emotions about them. Um, Anytime I've used a cord cutting, uh, it has drawn a person away from me. It has not done the work of processing beyond them. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. I personally would say, like, especially if you are getting these feelings that they are missing you, that they are, pining after you. My first step would be to dig into yourself, like really do some like intensive shadow work and just be like, make 100% sure you've moved on as much as you can from them. Um, and then from there, go into the question of like, why why are their wants and emotions affecting me in such a way that I notice them? Because you, and this is not so much an affirmation as it is a fact, in my opinion, you have the power within yourself to separate from this person and never feel or think about them ever again. And the only the only way they have explicit access to continue to send you emotions would be if there is something that you are holding on to in some fashion. And again, it you have to remember that a door can be wedged with the tiniest piece of wood. It does not necessarily mean that you have like these deep pining emotions that you're still trying to figure out or anything like that. What it can mean, though, is that there's some piece of you or some part of you somewhere that you need to kind of like sit with and work through to just kind of make sure you are fully 100% on the same page, as far as like wanting to not have those connections. Because um, and this is the suckiest realization, but also the most valuable one I've had in 2025. And it is something that I've learned in therapy and from my sister and from a bunch of sources. Feelings are not facts, and they never will be. Feelings will always be reactionary to a thing you are experiencing. Um, are feelings important? Yes. But they are like, it is like crying, which is weird to say because the two are very connected all the time. But think about crying. If you stopped your entire life every time you cried and was like, well, I cried, I guess that means my whole life is different now. Uh, Everything is affected because I cried. You would have the most chaotic time in your existence. It, Emotions are your soul or your heart's way of letting something out, um, positive and negative. And again, kind of circling back around to that pining thing that can happen with unintentional attacks, a lot of what happens with those is that someone hasn't gone through the actual process of processing those feelings and emotions on some level, whether it's conscious or subconscious. Because and this is especially for someone who is not going to get into details but can safely say that they are mentally ill. I am mentally ill. Hi. hello, my name is Luna. I'm mentally ill. Um, it is really foreign to learn that your base existence is not an emotional endeavor. Like having constant feelings about things, you're not supposed to do that. That's not a thing. That is not normal. That is not something you should have. You should have reactionary feelings. So like when you think about someone or like if you really focus down on something, you should feel things about it. But it should not live within you like you wake up, you feel these things about this person or this situation. Like on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour basis, your emotions should exist within the now of what is happening with you, not exist as a conglomerate of things that you have attached yourself to. Um, yeah, there you go. Also, uh, and I say this with all the deepest love in the world. And this is something that I primarily just hope someone learns from. Um, and you can take from it what you will. You can even say, "No, Luna, you suck. I'm not going to listen to this. This is nonsense." But no amount of mental health tools will compare to the combination of proper professional therapy and medication. You could be the most well-adjusted person in the world with a toolbox of every single methodology that psychology has to offer. If you don't have another living person to talk to, you will hit a limit of what you can do for yourself. Anyway, yeah, that's what I got.
That's beautiful, Luna, and absolutely fantastic advice. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're very welcome.
I greatly appreciate that. It definitely resonates.
I think that was great.
Anyway, we're at super high, so that was our podcast. No, I'm joking. Um, does anyone else have a? Yes, you are very welcome. I'm glad I could be of some assistance. Um, I would also just add, be be fucking patient with yourself. Like,
Give yourself grace.
yeah, like you will have varying degrees of like needs, and it it sounds counterintuitive to what I just said, but it's not. It really isn't. It is okay to spend an entire year or plus pining over a person and like doing the emotional baggage work of like trying to figure out, I feel terrible. I don't know how to move on from this. I'm going to sit and just be sad. Like it is okay to do those things. It is okay because sometimes that is what our brains need. That is sometimes what you need to emotionally move on from something. I literally didn't emotionally move on from something yesterday until I watched a video essay about a video game, and then near the end, the ending was kind of nice. So then I just spontaneously burst into tears and sobbed for like 30 minutes. Like, human brains are weird, and there sadly is no fix the emotions button. So you just kind of have to go with it.
True that. And thank you guys for being here and asking questions and being interactive with us. That is always really greatly appreciated. Um, Thank you, Ella. You're you're lovely too. And I think this always, why do we, it comes back, why do we do a podcast? Why did we start a podcast? Why do we continue to face obstacles and always come back to the podcast? And to me, this is kind of why we do it. Not just the authenticity, but the safety and the openness for our members and for my fellow co-hosts, Luna and Adfang, who are willing to be open and share things that a lot of people, really don't talk about or don't feel comfortable, um, you know, sharing and knowing that we're not going to be judged, and that, it resonates with even though the experience is personal, it resonates with so many others because, the experience may not be the same, but chances are, they have had similar experiences in their life. And so, thank you to both of you for your honesty, um, and your openness and your vulnerability in sharing, that allows other people to understand that it's okay to be open and share and be vulnerable. So kudos to both of you.
Yes.
I'm willing to talk about pretty much anything. So
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean,
except the things that I'm not. So
oh god, that's. I think that is a human experience, Adfang, that we typically are open to talking about everything except the things we don't want to talk about.
exactly, yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, thank you all so much for like being here and being transparent and asking your questions. Like, I think everyone here does this to some degree because of you know wanting to affect the world around them. Like, realistically, if the three of us had no interest in having any sort of impact on other people or the world at large, why would we do this? We could just get into a voice call and privately talk about our shit, and then that would be it. Um, I I want to make the joke, and it's a stupid joke because it's not like real in any sense of the word, that I also do this for the prospect of immense fortune and fame, but the reality is that's not a thing. Like, the three of us here are literally just doing this because we want to. Like, none of us are going to become the next Markiplier. Like, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you, Adfang, that's not happening. Um, I know you were
I never
really
had a
hoping
wish to
for that.
become the next Markiplier, so I could be so much more.
Yeah, I agree. I too. Um,
We will eventually get back into the tens of viewers every week.
yeah,
I mean, that's my goal.
I feel we should just
We
aim
will.
higher. Like, Markiplier is the bottom rung of the ladder we're climbing. I'm choking again. I can hear the tension and the expectation. It's not a
I
thing.
really just enjoy knowing that if through all of our talks and discussions we've helped one person, that is joy enough for me.
Yes. Um, like, it's very easy to sometimes, and I know this because I fall into this nasty little case of imposter syndrome that Adfang is very, very aware that has seen me go through. But like, the way I see it is that if there is what, I'll get to that in a second. Um, yeah, I think if even if one person has listened to this or watched this or has gained some sort of benefit from it, whether that benefit is, oh, you changed my life, or just, oh, I needed something to be on while I took a nap. Even that, I'd be like, yep, we did it. That mission succeeded. Um, yeah, and I did just want to point out the thing that you just said of Markiplier sobbing and crying in front of the amount of viewers this podcast gets. Like, yeah, I I feel that for him. Um, my personal opinion is that I do feel like Markiplier needs a 5-year vacation and then he can come back. I think at some point between 2020 and 2024, he shaking and crying right now. Please don't. Like, I can handle many things, but if one of our viewers starts actively like sobbing over our podcast, I think that would be like, that meme of like someone sobbing over a toilet. And I would be the person that's like in the distance with a mop, like patting them on the shoulder, going, there. It's okay. Um, but yeah, if you know what, I will say this here and I will probably regret it. If our viewership, I love that so much. If our viewership hits at some point in the tens, whether it be recorded or otherwise, I will make a personal live Markiplier esque, like I will do a full 10 minutes of me pretending to be Markiplier sobbing and crying because of the immense success we received.
I'm gonna find out who this person is, and I'm gonna invite them to a podcast.
If we get
Good
Markiplier
luck.
on, yeah, I was gonna say, if we get Markiplier on this podcast, I will literally I will be sitting here shaking the entire time, but also simultaneously I will be ecstatic. So best of luck to you. If you get a hold of Markiplier and Markiplier's existence even touches one of our podcasts, we will not have to worry about viewers again for a very long time.
Oh, that's great because I
I
had
mean,
to look up who he was. This
honestly,
one-
we are in such a niche community that we may get 2 or 3 extra people just from the server to start watching because they're like, oh look, I know Markiplier. What's he doing in here? And then that's it. Like no one would.
Yeah, we will get a total of an extra 2 people from Markiplier's immense presence. Here, I will find you. This sounds awful. I'm gonna find and send to you, Ache Lady, his most recent crying video. It won't take me long to find. Every And mind you, I get it. He's gone through a lot, and also it must be emotional to have over like 10 million people watching you at any given time. His most memorable videos, for some reason, are the ones where he is like sobbing his eyes out because of something that has occurred. Also, I do feel
well, I
like
guess
you know who he is, and the second I show you, you'll be like, oh, that guy.
I really have kind of hermited myself the last several years.
Frankly, probably the best move you could have made. The last couple years have been not great. Here you go. This is Markiplier. Um, enjoy that when you can. When are we going to do Unis? First of all, I will
Unis honest.
Unis honest.
Okay, listen.
I will
We
say
were never. You're never supposed to mention that again. That's the whole point.
you can't mention that. It happened. It cannot happen again. If we were to do the equivalent of that, it would probably be like a 5-week ritual that we then never talk about. Which I mean might be a cool concept. We got the server in on doing that.
You weren't even on the internet when it happened. Oh, that's so sad, Aka.
I feel you.
Too bad you'll never be able to see what happened.
I did not get to see what happened in real time either. I've seen a few very brief teaser TikToks about it, and that's vaguely what I know it from. That and Adfang lording over me the fact that he has seen it makes him special.
It doesn't make me special.
Like, I don't know why, but in
Just
the back
remember
of...
though, if you are watching like recorded videos after the fact, whenever they literally said don't re-upload this because it's not supposed to be re-uploaded, you're ruining you are ruining the entire reason why they did it.
You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought I understood that that was the concept, was the novelty of a piece of media that, like, existed in one point in time and would never exist again.
Okay. Yeah, Unis honest, yeah.
I mean, if
Memento Mori.
We theoretically could do that. We could come up with something where we announce it ahead of time and we do it, and it never goes up. There's no upload. There's nothing afterwards, and we pretend like it doesn't exist. I don't know what that would be or what kind of impact that would have.
We could. We definitely could. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. That is a thing that we can in fact do.
Every fiber of my Twitch streaming body is like, you can't do that. You're not going to get any views from that. Which tells me we should do it.
Well, people would probably record it. The 2 people that tune in on Twitch will probably record it and then re-upload it just out of spite.
I mean, so that would lead into the question of if it should be on Twitch, because if it's on Twitch, it is recordable and downloadable. It's just not. I don't know. It was a cool concept, and I do actually like the idea of some content being special and non-accessible eternally, because we live in an age where you can pull every single piece of media you've ever seen at the drop of a hat and just recall it from the last 20 to 40 years. Which I think is I don't know. Like, an Adfang, I know this is just so far off topic, but I feel like it's okay at this point in the podcast. What is your opinion on, like, are we living in the future? And I say that because, like, if you told someone in 1950 that there's a computer now where you can watch every piece of media that has ever existed at the tips of your fingers, it sounds like the ultimate future, but also at the same time, I don't know, like, how do you feel?
It honestly takes a lot of the special feeling out of a lot of things. If you want my, heartfelt feeling about it, there was a time where we in fact did not have computers and couldn't talk to each other in fact, there was a time where we would have to write by mail because the radio didn't exist. So, I mean, we have made leaps and bounds in technology, and there's going to be, I assume the time we'll still be alive whenever we're going to have holograms of each other in our rooms whenever we want to. Beyond VR,
I
you
do
know,
not want
like
a hologram of you.
no, I'm saying you could. I'm not saying you would have a hologram of me, you creep.
Um,
But I mean, going from baud, you know, 9600 baud to gigabit internet, it feels impressive. It's like crazy. Like first we were going through literally phone calls and over copper wire, and now we're going over just light signals sent through a a, a string of glass, you know, and it's very interesting.
yeah, and like,
All that to say, all that to say, I think that the internet in its infancy was a benefit to a lot of people, but as the internet has existed, um, things become less and less unique and less. We we also have AI that's doing a lot of generative stuff, and I'm not an AI hater, but I think that AI is not going to be the best thing for humanity as it develops. So I think we lose a lot of meaning when we go from something that took, you know, days or weeks to get and then respond to an instant gratification reply right now because you can sort of deal. So I think when we had bulletin boards and forums, we were kind of at that peak human, like we actually are thinking about things before we post it. We don't have, you know, Google to look up things to do that. We actually just did what we knew, and now it's and you can see the reverse side. I mean, I work in IT, kind of funny for me saying all this, but I do think that, you know, there should be a limit on technology, and technology shouldn't be in absolutely everything. So anyways,
yeah, no, I think I agree with you. Though I do think like there has to be a balance, and this sounds weird, but um, every month or so, I for like a day and a half get the weird retro itch um of like, oh, I should just go back to handheld consoles and, you know, Walkmans and radio and having everything on cassette tape. And the we live in this weird awkwardness where I don't think that's healthy either, because I feel like you do something to yourself where you take yourself out of the technology of the now, which the technology of now is not great, as you kind of just stated. But simultaneously going back to something older is somehow also not a great option. Like, so I feel like you were right. I feel like what it boils down to kind of is some technology is awesome because it's, you know, going to help us. Like, I think AI ultimately is one of the greatest, you know, current inventions of mankind. But I do think that we need we need this sounds weird. We need something to die. We need like to not live in this weird liminal space between the epicenter of like the highest form of technology and readily being able to acquire a typewriter and an ink ribbon. Like, we need something to go, this does not exist anymore. So something else can go, we need to rely on this enough to where we have to care about it. I, I don't know why we got on this topic. I am so sorry.
No, you know what? I'm proud of you guys. We stayed on topic for like an hour and a half, a little over, before we went wandering down Tangent Street. So
This is true.
great job. And I mean, this is like really interesting, right? Because we have a generalized topic every week for the podcast. But we also leave room for thoughts and discussions to kind of pop up along the way. And I mean, this is, to me, it's really interesting because we're kind of, sharing the space and looking at memory lane, so to speak, focusing on technology and how much it's changed in the last, 70 years, 50 years, 30 years has been, incredible. Um, but I think the cautionary tale about any of it and that kind of longing to want to go back to older technology, is it coming from a place of appreciation, right? Because times were
Mhm.
different then. There was not the urgency and immediacy that we have now, and the expectation that whatever we want is right there at our fingers. Um, And then perhaps it's like maybe we should talk about what healthy behaviors are when it comes to, technology and this world that we live in where everything is so instant. Right. I mean, for God's sake, my mother, and this is just a tangent for sure, but it's even like photographs. We have a device, we have our phone that can snap a photo because it's got a built-in camera wherever we are. And 40 years ago, 30 years ago, it was, the old Nokia phones, which I use them, and Motorola's because they preceded uh iPhones. Um Before that, they didn't have cameras, or if they did, they were just pixelated, kind of um, kind of crazy things. And so we can snap a photo. Whereas if you wanted to take a photo, if you knew you were going to be in a place where you were going to need to take a photo, first of all, film costs money,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to carry your camera with you, and then you had to spend money and send your, because the whole quick development really didn't happen until the end of the 90s into the early 2000s, where you had instant film processing. Like even like the fast places, it was like a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround. So it's just, something that simple to see how much it's changed. And then yet we have this desire to like access everything immediate. And sometimes, there is this being able to wait and to be patient, and then because it's like by then you've forgotten half of what you had on that roll of film. You're like, oh, it's a surprise. It's just life was very different, and the way we thought was very different, instead of always having these synaptic ways that we fire constantly, because we're constantly getting you know what we want and what we need. So it's just very different. Anyways, that's my thought.
Yeah. No, I definitely think, and that's sort of like, I guess, the conundrum that my brain is still kind of wrapping itself around, being 35 and like I don't know why
Yeah.
I've decided that this is the part of my life where I'm going to contemplate the existence of technology, but like the fact that yes, there are benefits in the sense of there is instant result. And like for example, even the photo, like you can take a picture with your phone, send it to someone, and they instantly can see the thing that you saw and they can save it on their phone and have it, they can print it, whatever they want to do. But there is, and Ella kind of mentioned it in their comment as well. There is sort of this lost beauty in the art of making a thing and having it have a level of like, uh, I guess, specific importance that is gone to some degree. So then we kind of lead into the question of, does that mean the thing that we're experiencing is less important? Is it actually less important, or does it just seem less important because it took less energy and work to create it?
Yeah, like is it the appreciation for the process, or is it that we just are like, oh, are we rejecting because it like feels a little bit wrong because it's so immediate? Where are, again, it comes back to like, are we finding balance? I mean, you're in your third decade, I'm in my fifth. And I mean, just even having, I mean, and we've had cell phones now. Everybody's cell phones have been accessible for what, 30 years? The last 25 at least, they've become accessible. And I mean, I grew up with, it was such a big deal to go from a rotary dial phone to a push button phone. I mean, it's just, it it is what it is. And like Adfang and I think we talked last week about like computers. And I mean, I was the first, when I was in elementary school is when they started introducing, that's when the Apple II was available, and we got taught basic coding because that's how you had to speak DOS to your computer to make it be able to interface in the days before
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft or I mean, it's like, wow, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah,
So nothing is inherently good or bad. I think it's just how we approach it, how we use it, and how we address it.
I fully agree, and like even in my third decade, like I remember like giant box TVs and watching cable TV. My first cell phone was a flip phone that didn't have texting, and the first texting phone I did have was the atrocious like use the number buttons, and each number button had like four various letters associated with it, and if you messed one of the
And you
letters
couldn't
up,
go
you
too
just
far.
stopped. Like, yeah. um Back then texting was such an inconvenience, you honestly preferred if someone would bother to call you. um Now it's the
But you
reverse.
didn't want to
I
have
mean,
to pay for it.
voice to text is amazing. Like,
Oh yeah.
people do not understand what I know it misspells a lot, but voice to text is so much better than what we had to deal with.
Exactly. Like we all of
Just who
us.
who here and I bet not many who remembers Nextel's push to talk whenever
Oh.
it came out. It sucked, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, or
No
not
one.
missing. Like, no, I didn't have access to it, but I remember like, oh my God, that's pretty cool.
And it was
Um,
so annoying too because it was on all the time. And if someone isn't listening, then it's pointless. But their idea, I think, was they wanted to have a radio but use a cell phone to do it, which I mean, it's all radio waves, and it was a great idea. It just didn't really take off. Plus, it was really expensive.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, just yeah. I mean, everything is just uh advanced. In a lot of different. Well, I mean, it's like AOL. Like we didn't have AOL in Alaska. That like they just didn't provide service up here, as most didn't. So you had to wait until it trickled down to local providers, and then you had to wait like it was over a year wait to get the internet, the modem, and then you have to listen to dial up, and then if you get a phone call, you don't have two separate lines. I mean, and now everything is just like at a click of a button, and it's like you have to stop and think when we because I don't know about you, like the older I get, I'm really turning into that cranky old person, so I have a lot less patience with certain things, and technology is definitely one of them. Not that I'm not familiar with it and comfortable with it, but it's like, oh my God, it's not working. Like I can see I'm connected. And there's like that instant irritation as you kind of go through the troubleshooting. And I think when when my kids were young, and it was like, oh, you just have to wait. It's like it's funny that in that amount of time frame, in a really short span, we've gone from, you know you can't have access to everything to everything is at your fingertips. It's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny.
And it's I don't know. I guess that is the thing, is that like there has to be an in between somewhere. Like there is a part of me that like loves new technology. Even from a metaphysical standpoint, like I kind of hope that technology continues to advance. Uh, I and then there's another part of me that thinks of a fantasy world where I could run a tiny radio station at like 12 o'clock in the morning, uh, just about some nonsense, and like that not be a
I
big
support
deal.
this. I support this dream 100%. And isn't that kind of what a podcast is?
That is the thing, is that this is the closest thing to radio that exists in like the newest format, but like part of me does wish that I could have like a separate desk that has like a giant bulky microphone thing on it, that broadcasts radio waves out into the universe. But
You could do that if you wanted to.
according to people like
You,
Adfang, that
you
costs
just need a
money.
license. You just need a
And
license. It's
and
actually
then you
very
get,
cheap. It's like $10.
really? That's it?
It's not expensive. You take a test and then that's it.
And then I get the equipment, and then hopefully I don't accidentally break some kind of radio law, according to you.
And then you have
It's so
like your
much
burner
simpler
phone.
than you think.
You get your burner phone, and people call in and ask questions, and they get to hear themselves on the radio, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that I would love to do that. Adfang, your job is to give me a step-by-step guide to doing that.
Sure, I'll get right on that.
I thank you. I
Wow.
believe in you.
Dripping with sarcasm much?
Step by step guide. Also, do you have $10?
Thank you, Ella, so much for joining us. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your afternoon or evening, whatever time it is by you now. And we do appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us and interact with us. And remember, we do this every Tuesday. So,
Yes.
and if you
And
have
reach out.
suggestions,
Reach out anytime
reach
if you want, about aforementioned things if you would like and to discuss them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're usually around.
We're always here, except when we're not.
Exactly. And on that note, I do think we should wrap it up for today because I'm going to
We
head off for
probably
now.
All right.
Okay.
We can go ahead and do just that.
All right.
All
It was
righty.
nice.
Well, thank you everyone for being here with us today. Thank you as always to my lovely co-hosts Luna and Adfang. It's always appreciated. And thanks for joining us here and talking Esoteric the podcast.